obstacle courses. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. Well, I love adventure and I love being outside, and I also love shooting guns, kind of doing exhilarating things like that. It was just something that a young man could do, and not everyone has the opportunity to do it. But I have a flip phone right now, and I started this with my chaplain at school, and we were in this conversation about how there's a lot of drawbacks to being a young man and a young woman just growing up in the modern society. I think it's just huge to take risks sometimes, especially as a young person, because this is the time to learn, and mistakes probably not going to ruin your life. And I'm getting college paid for, and I also get some awesome experience with the Army. You really only have one shot at youth and at life in general, so make it worth it. And there's really no point in waiting unless you have a great reason. If you have all the time in the world, why not start now? So my name is William Braunschweig. I am a E2 private in the infantry, 11 Bravo.
Okay. So, when did you enlist?
I enlisted in October, late October.
Okay, so you enlisted in October. So you've been going to RSP drills?
Yep.
How are you liking those?
I like it. It's a good way to get to know the guys that you're going to be going to basic with, and guys you're going to be in units with, and kind of hear about different jobs as well and where different people are coming from. It's pretty awesome.
Cool. Are there any RSPs that you particularly enjoyed, or do you have a favorite one?
Yeah, when we played laser tag, that was pretty awesome. For obvious reasons, we just got to bond as a team while having fun and applying things we learned at drill, which was really cool. So
and that was this last drill?
That was 2 drills ago.
No, February.
Oh, it was February. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so you've been to a Christmas party. What are some other things you've done in RSP?
At RSP, we've done just a lot of PT, some games. They have pretty creative games, and stuff in the classroom where you're learning about the Blue Book and Army values and stuff like that. And that's pretty much it. I've only been to 3, so yeah.
So stuff you're going to need to know for basic training.
Yeah, for sure. It kind of helps you prepare you for basic for sure, so you're not surprised when they ask you these questions. And it takes the workload off, when everyone else is memorizing some of the basic things that you already know. You can kind of focus on going above and beyond, and yeah.
Cool. So let's back up a little bit. What got you interested, or how did you even get in contact with Sergeant Paulson?
So it was a presentation about a year ago from a recruiter, and I've always considered the military as a kid. It's been a dream of mine. I've looked up to guys like some of my friends' dads and my dad's friends who have been in the military, and I've always admired them, and so it's kind of something I've always wanted to do, and the Guard has made it very possible to kind of to achieve that dream, and also to go to college as well, so it's pretty sweet.
How about your whole enlistment process, MEPS?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty smooth for me. I went to MEPS once, and it was like we talked, we had an interview with Sergeant Paulson, did some paperwork, and then it was like once I decided I was ready to go, it was like that. We hit the road. I went to MEPS, enlisted, and then it was off. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that sounds like really painless.
Yeah, it was pretty simple. Nice.
So I know when you were thinking about enlisting, one of your biggest hurdles to kind of overcome was, you've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
You're going inside schools, sports, flight hours, right?
Yeah.
And so you kind of were worried about how the Guard would interfere with that. How do you feel like that has interfered with the things that you want to do?
For sure. I mean, it's very, I wouldn't expect it to be so flexible. There's a lot of opportunity to miss a drill weekend, make it up. And there was just not a lot of pressure as a high schooler who's in sports and, taking tests. You got ACTs, and like she mentioned, I'm in flight school too. So they work with you for sure, and they understand high schoolers, which is super nice. And it takes a lot of pressure off and stress. So.
Yeah. What sports are you playing?
I did Raiders, and then in past years I wrestled and played lacrosse as well. So.
What's Raiders?
Raiders like a JROTC kind of CrossFit thing, very military focused. So yeah, it's pretty sweet. A lot of running and rucking, obstacle courses. So
That sounds really cool.
yeah, it was pretty awesome.
You go to what
St. John's, Northwestern.
Okay. Is that here in Oconomowoc?
It's in Delafield, but yeah, close.
Dang, I've never heard of that as a sport.
Yeah, he goes to a military academy.
Yeah.
So they're a little unique.
Yeah.
But basically, I think like traditionally, it's like other JROTC
Yeah.
teams competing, and so because he's already in a military high school, it's like they go specifically for the competitions, not just all of JROTC.
Cool. So do you feel like being at that specific high school pushed you towards military service?
I think in a way, yes, but like I said, I was going in to, I went in my junior year with intentions to go in the military. But I think what it did more was just prepared me and kind of get me, I have a lot of connections with guys who are in the service just by being there, some of the teachers. They give you a lot of good advice, like real advice. And then it's like some of the smaller things like drill, left face, right face, about face, simple stuff. That becomes, it's just like clockwork, you know how to do it. So when we were here learning it, it's the kind of thing I was talking about before, where I was able to focus on, excelling in other things rather than just the simple stuff that I already knew.
Oh. Yeah, that's good. So what made you want to be an infantryman?
Well, I love adventure and I love being outside, and I also love shooting guns and kind of doing exhilarating things like that. Kind of, it was just something that a young man can do, and not everyone has the opportunity to do it. And so I feel, from that standpoint, like you got one life and one shot at it, and the Guard and as well as the infantry was just a great first step to start, making it worth it, So
Yeah.
it's been awesome. I'm looking for some awesome opportunities after basic as well.
Like what?
Like hopefully airborne school, ranger school, stuff like that to really just get the most out of my career in the military.
How are you going about securing those spots?
Yeah, so I'm just really focusing on PT right now, and when I go into basic, it's going to be the same thing. And then also being a leader and displaying leadership in basic training, and kind of showing them why that I would be a good candidate and why I should be a good leader. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
So on that topic, so it's the top, like it's either in the top 1%, top 10% of the class, something like that, gets offered the airborne ranger slots, right? We've kind of already talked about that, and I feel like RSP, myself, we've given you some resources to kind of prep and get ahead. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I've taken one ACFT, so I know it's going to be on the ACFT, and as well I've done some individual research on what they're going to do at basic. So I've really focused on running a 2 mile and a 1 mile as well. I was introduced to the hand release push-up. I've never seen that, so I've been banging those out a lot. Plank as well. Having this start now, because I go to basic in July, I'll have half a year to prepare for that and to build up. So by that time, I can have a perfect PT score, and then focus on the other things like leadership, to being top 1% of my class.
Yeah. Have you looked into like the requirements for ranger school at all yet?
Briefly, I don't know them too well.
Okay. That might be something to look into. So I think they have their own physical. There's a ranger physical
Yeah.
assessment test.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's like pull-ups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But
I'll take a look.
more time
Yeah,
to
thank
prepare
you.
for that. So you're talking about displaying leadership, right, and wanting to really excel at basic training.
Yeah.
What are some like kind of life skills you're hoping to get from training?
I think camaraderie is a big one, and learning to be away from, like I'm going to a whole different lifestyle change. High school is it's its own demon. You got everyone's social, and you're on your phone, and you can contact people. To none of that, and I'm just going to be gone in Georgia in the middle of July. It's going to be hot. It's going to be, I'm drinking from a fire hose. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to have to adapt, and having that skill to adapt and make the best out of the situation and excel in it is something that I'm hoping to do in every aspect of my life.
I like that.
So I don't know if you can use this or not, but your phone that you have now, tell us how you got that phone, why you have that phone, what you're doing with
Okay, yeah, so I'll just a little display. I don't know if this is like any material, but I have a flip phone right now, and I started this with my chaplain at school, and he was we were in this conversation about how there's a lot of drawbacks to being a young man and a young woman just growing up in the modern society, and how social skills and kind of every skills, many skill sets are like they're not as prevalent in young people because of the phone. You don't have to interact with people as much. You can have relationships with people across the world without even knowing them. In any uncomfortable situation, you can just stare at your phone. You don't have to, you can hide in your room and be on your phone all day. So we started talking. It was like, maybe we should do a technology retreat just to kind of like each hour of the day have a purpose for it and not waste any time. So yeah, we've both been doing that for a little bit now.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I like it. It keeps life simple. I get phone calls and texts from my friends and my parents, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So have you learned anything from that experience, or have you grown in any way from it?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the biggest things you notice is how much people are definitely on their phones, which is, it's pretty crazy. People walk around on it, and they're staring down. And I've learned to really appreciate the actual reality that we live in, and know the difference between like a fake world that can be taken away from you, and not be dependent on a cell phone. That's the biggest thing I've taken away from it.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
There's definitely not a lot of kids your age that have that.
Yeah, so the group of warriors we've got coming in today, so Braunschweig, Rabbit, and Steckner, like, they, speaking to them versus speaking to other kids, like, I feel like you guys are so much more just future oriented. Like,
Yeah.
you see where your future is going, and you want to take steps to become the person that you want to be. I feel like that's where a lot of high schoolers lack, is they're not willing to, they have a future that they want, but they're not going to do anything to take that future.
For sure. Yeah, it's a huge thing. I hear it a lot with high schoolers. It's like, a lot of people talk about what they were going to do, or they almost joined the military, or it doesn't have to be the military, they almost did this, I almost considered trying something new, moving away, taking a big risk. And there's always a reason, but, whatever. And I think it's just huge to take risks sometimes, especially as a young person, because this is a time to learn, and a mistake's probably not going to ruin your life. I mean, it depends on what you try to do, but yeah, so I hear that a lot, for sure.
Yeah. I think even a mistake at this point in your life, no matter how big, you
Yeah.
can probably bounce back from it.
For sure, and I don't want to look back in 40 years and be like, man, I should have done this. I should have spent less time on my phone. I don't want to look at that, or I wish I would have tried to go for that school, or yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge for, you're 18?
Yeah, 18.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
You talked about taking ACT, right? You're looking at going to college after
Yeah.
you're done with basic?
I'm looking at going to Madison or La Crosse, so I got deferred for early action in Madison until regular decision in March, and La Crosse I was accepted to. Yeah, and so I'm looking for probably a year late, so I'll go to basic, and I have some time if I get offered those schools to do that, and then also get back, work a little bit, kind of recollect myself, spend some time outside, and then get ready for college, coming in with a good mindset.
Nice. What do you want to do with college?
I'm not sure yet. I applied undecided. I'm thinking some management and business, but I'm keeping an open mind for sure.
A lot of what's right ahead of you is what's on your focus.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't want to get too caught up in how fun college is going to be, because it is fun. I've toured campuses, but I got more to focus on, and I can't be, I don't want to be in basic training thinking about how much fun my friends are having in college. I need to be, taking care of the task at hand. So.
Yeah, and you mentioned with being on your phone less, focusing on the present moment.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Did he have any kind of roadblocks to overcome, parents to convince, anything like that?
For him, it was mostly that time management piece
Yeah.
of the flexibility. Talk a little bit about, both of you kind of were hoping to go active duty at some point. So
Yeah.
talk about the flexibility with National Guard and active
Yeah,
duty.
so, like I said, I really don't know where my military career is going to take me, but an idea that I have in my head would be pretty cool is do college and then transfer to active duty for a point in time in my life, because I think that would be a very good experience, whether that's getting deployed somewhere and get to travel the world, or, just living with the Army. I think that'll be very, very good for personal development. It'll set me up for success in my life. And the National Guard, I mean, from what I hear is you got to fill out some paperwork, and it might take a few months. Get approved by your chain of command, you can transfer, as well as within different branches. I haven't thought about that, but there's a lot of kids who are going to figure out that, you know, maybe they don't want to do Army, maybe they want to do intelligence in the Air Force, or a job that the Air Force offers that the Army doesn't, and it's pretty sweet, all the options, and they really work with people, which is nice.
Yeah, so what would be the benefit of joining the National Guard first when you think your future plan you want to do active duty? Like, why wouldn't you wait to join the Army at all?
Because I want to get college done. I'm getting college paid for, and I also get some awesome experience with the Army. So, you know, going to college, I'll go through basic training, possibly some schools, and then I'll have that set up. I'm getting actually paid in the college semesters to go to college, and then I can get another job that'll be setting me up like way ahead of other college students, where, you know, I can live in a college budget, not spend a lot of money, but also make a lot of money. So when I come out of college, I'm set up. You know, I can buy a car, put a down payment on a house, and I have those options to do what I want. And if that's join active duty, or, you know, whatever it is, travel the world. Yeah, so it's pretty sweet. And then when I do join an active duty, I could come in possibly in E4, E5, and have that experience, not coming in as a new private.
Yeah, no, that's good. Really forward thinking. Obviously, that's something that
Yeah.
you're good about.
So the last thing I'd have for you, so you're already in I mean, I don't know if the promotion's hit yet, but your paperwork is
Right.
already submitted to be
Yeah.
an E4. So talk a little bit about how you came into the Army as an E4 at 18.
I came in, so we did the knowledge. There was like knowledge, stripes for skills, and so that was like passing the ACFT, which was no problem. And then some of the like land nav stuff and Army values. I forget what else was on there.
Yeah, land nav, Army values.
Left face, right face, and that was all stuff I knew before, just from being around the military setting. And so that allowed me to excel to an E4, and then I referred some of my buddies as well who already wanted to, which was super nice. And yeah, it allowed me to get just a head start, a little bit higher pay, and like again, you can stand out by getting a head start like that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think the only other way to get in as an E4, like starting out before you go to basic training, is if you have a bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
And it takes 2 years if you don't.
yeah. So it's really giving you a good head start. If you were talking to someone that's a junior, senior in high school, and they're kind of not sure what they want to do after they graduate,
Yeah.
what would you give some words of wisdom to them?
Well, I would say that kind of like I said before, you really only have one shot at youth and at life in general, so make it worth it. And that's not the military for everyone, but for a young man and a young woman too, that's an amazing experience where you probably you don't have a lot to lose. If you go and do basic and AIT before you go to college, you lose a semester or a year of college, and in hindsight, that's not that much at all. And so I would say go for that and you know, set out an adventure, take a risk, because you're going to grow so much as a person, and in the benefits of, you know, setting yourself up for life is pretty awesome with the Army. So I would say, you know, do something that you're passionate about and that not everyone does, because it's too easy to get in the rat race, and people go and they don't live their own life. They let other people kind of talk to them like, hey man, you know, that's hard, I wouldn't do that, you're probably going to fail. But that's a good thing. I think failing is a great thing for young people, because like we said, it's not gonna set you back in life, and it's gonna give you something to look back and like, yeah, you know, I don't have any regrets of my youth. So yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. Okay. I got one more question. I want your thoughts on something. So I get a lot going into high schools, talking to 17 to 18-year-olds, and they'll be like, you know, I got all the time in the world to make this decision. It's probably something I'll think about later on down the line. What would be your thoughts on someone that was your age and saying they
Yeah.
had all the time in the world?
I mean, so everyone's got time until reality hits. Like, no one has all the time in the world, and there's really no point in waiting unless you have a great reason. If you have all the time in the world, why not start now? And if you do have all the time in the world in your head, you get this done, then you go do something else. You make that time worth it. You actively take action in your life and make it count for something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but no one's got all the time in the world. So.